In this video we'll be taking the Boraq, the fastest train in all of Africa. Basically just a TCV. But still, this train goes 320 km per hour and you can find these trains on the routes Tangier, Kenitra, Rabat, Casablanca. What it's like to travel on board of Africa's fastest train? Let's find out. Join us on the Boraq high-speed trains here in Morocco, Africa's fastest train. We'll be taking it from Tanger, the northernmost terminal railway station in the Morocco railway system. We won't be taking all the way to Casablanca though, I'll tell you more about this in the video. For now, let's get this video on the track and let's roll the intro. We arrived in Tangier with a ferry that we took from Spain. We took a ferry from Tarifa, what is not too far away from Algeciras, and those ferries do arrive near the old city of Tangier, what is way more convenient than taking the ferries that will go to Tangier Med. I know the city of Tangier has a beautiful old Medina, but also the new area of the city looks really modern, including the railway station, what you can see right over here. Public transportation from and to the ferry terminal at Tangier Ville is not that great, so the taxi is just the best option to the railway station. And here it is, the most northern railway station in Morocco and also a terminal railway station. From here on you find trains all over Morocco, including the Boraq, the high-speed train and the fastest train of all of Africa. Morocco has a very developed railway system. It's not very big, but the places where you find trains, they do run very frequent, reliable, and they're quite affordable. Before we discover a little bit more of the railway station, at least what you can find inside over here, let's take a closer look around. Well, there's not that much to be honest if you are here as a traveler, but most importantly, you'll find lots of taxis over here. At the side of the railway station there's an official taxi stand and there's definitely not a shortage of taxis. Well, for now let's head into the railway station. And as you already noticed from the outside, this is a really modern railway station building. Basically the old railway station building, they have made some extensions on it and they integrated this really well. This way you can still use the old building but also have a very modern railway station. This here is the old railway station building, what is way smaller. There are plenty of screens throughout the railway station that will host information about departing trains. And if we move a little bit more towards the tracks, we get into the new area again. Within the old railway station building, there are not that many facilities. Toilets and also prayer rooms that are gender specific, by the way, can be found here. Some waiting areas and this change office here on the right. That's basically it, at least as far as I noticed. Between the new and the old part you find the Starbucks, and here we are at the front of the railway station in the new area again. There are vending machines where you can buy train tickets, but I bought my train ticket in advance online. Later on I'll get back on how to buy train tickets. This here, right in front of me, are the ticket counters. The Boraq and the Atlas trains do have special dedicated counters. The Boraq train, what is this red line on this map, is the high-speed train that we'll be taking. All the grey and also the purple lines, these are the Atlas trains, and they also do cover quite long distances. I do have a trip report, for example, on the Atlas train between Fes and Marrakech. Atlas trains or long distance trains that also serve smaller railway stations. And some specific branch lines. So back to the ticket counters. This is the Boraq section and the left side is the Atlas section. However, I honestly think it doesn't make a big difference where you go to. For this journey, we were traveling for the first part with an Boraq train and the second part with an Atlas train. Our final destination today is Fes, and doing this is just simply faster. Although you will also find some direct Atlas trains between Tangier and Fes. However, where the direct Atlas train needs a little less than 4 hours and 30 minutes, The travel time if we take an Boraq high-speed train to Kenitra and change there to an Al Atlas train will be reduced with about 1 hour and 15 minutes. And on the section Kenitra to Tangier, the Al Boraq trains need only 50 minutes, where the Al Atlas train need 3 hours and 7 minutes. So it's really a huge cut in the travel times. Well, as you can see, the railway station is pretty modern. There are plenty of shops, and there are also quite some areas where you can just take a sit and wait for your train. At the upper level, there's a food court. But if you expect to find typically Moroccan food over here, well, I have to disappoint you. But one thing is absolutely for sure. If you have an empty stomach, well, you can find a lot of places to fill up your stomach over here again. From several points at the upper level where you find the food court, you have a really nice view on the railway station. Not only at the interior part of the railway station, but also at the railroad tracks. And like you may expect of a food court, there are lots of places where you can just take a seat over here. Here you can have a look at the railroad tracks, and our train is already waiting at the platform. There's even a spot where you can buy Belgian waffles. Well, at least I found a spot where I can buy food from an area where I passed through when I went to Morocco by train. By the way, all the other videos on how to get to Morocco by train, you can find them on this channel as well. Today we'll be traveling in first class, and for first class passengers on board of the Al Boraq train, you will find a lounge as well. These lounges are present at all railway stations where the Al Boraq trains do call. The first class lounge is not really a place where you have like unlimited food or so. You can get some free bottles of water, and it's more like a special waiting area. There are also some spots where you can finish your work, so it's ideal for business travelers. Access to the tracks is possible directly via the lounge, and obviously also via the general area in the railway station. Your ticket will be checked before you can go to the platform. This is a brief check, and within the train there will be another ticket check. After your ticket has been checked, you get out at this area over here. There's some more waiting areas, as you can see, and obviously access to the railroad tracks. I hope you like this video so far. If you do so, or if it's a helpful video to you, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. If you'd like to see more trip reports about more sustainable ways of transportation, the main focus for this channel is cross-bordering and international traveling. To show you what it's like to travel in a more sustainable way of transportation, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done this already. If you have some questions, some feedback, or even if you just want to say hello, feel free to leave a comment. And for now, let's continue with this video. Within this railway station, there are 4 platforms and 8 tracks. And here is our train, the Al Boraq. Well, if you are known with trains in France, this train might look very familiar to you. Or maybe you're a regular viewer of this channel, then you must definitely know it. These trains are basically the same as the TGV high-speed trains you can find all over France, and also in some neighboring countries. And that makes sense really. Why put a lot of money on innovation if you can choose a train that has proven to be reliable already in other countries? Also, the interior is pretty similar, like the TGV trains you can find in France. Well, before I show you the interior of these very French trains, let's take a closer look at the exterior. What is also very French, although I have to say, because of the designs at the outside, it doesn't look too much like a TGV Inouï or a TGV Ouigo. At the sides you find the numbers 1 and 2, and this will host where you find the first and the second class. Apart from that, there are digital screens right next to all the entrance doors, and these screens will host the train number, the carriage number, the stops along the way, and the final destination. As you already noticed, these are double-deck trains. However, there is one section, and that's the cafeteria section, or basically dining car, just how you want to mention this, and this is single deck, or only upper deck. At the other side of the train, so at the other side from the cafeteria, there are some more second class carriages, but you also find the first class, just like in France. The top speed for these trains is 320 km per hour. What is really fast, even for trains within Europe or Asia. And even though these trains are very French, the entire infrastructure has been built by Moroccans. But still, because Morocco and France, well, they're very close ties due to colony history, a lot of the infrastructure in Morocco is also very French. But for now, let's take a close look at the interior of these trains. At the moment you enter these trains, it has been clearly marked in what class you are and what seats are into what direction. Because you obviously find seats at the upper and the lower deck. Line maps of the Moroccan railroad system can be found at the vestibules. This includes some bus lines from the terminal railway stations in Morocco, like for example Marrakech down south. This map includes Western Sahara. At the lower decks of these trains there's slightly more space for luggage, but it was really busy during my trip, so I didn't film that much over here. At the total back of the compartments at the lower deck there's some extra space for luggage. The section of the first class where we were traveling in is also the accessible area. And obviously close to here you also find the accessible toilet. Well, this is the biggest toilet on board of these trains. And in general toilets on these trains are not very big. For an accessible toilet I also found these toilets pretty small. You can also use them as a diaper changing facility, as you can see over here. And I mean they're fine, but I can imagine if you're in a wheelchair this is pretty tight. I mean it's not only for these trains but also for the same train types in France. I filmed a bit more relaxed at the upper deck, simply because you can walk through a bit easier, and if you move between the carriages you have to do this here as well. Between the carriages you find quite a lot of space for luggage as well, as you can see over here. Leg room in first class is reasonable. I have to add up to this, I'm really tall. There's a sturdy fold-out table in the seat in front of you if you have the airline style seats. There are quite some power sockets. There's a small litter bin between the seats in front of you, and all seats do obviously have an armrest. At the other armrest you find a button to recline the seats, and in first class this is all electric. All windows, both at the upper and the lower deck, do have a sunscreen. You might need it in the hot summers over here. Even though these trains are obviously air conditioned. Well, this way the air conditioning has to work a little bit less hard. Reading lights are located right above the seats, and you also find the seat numbers over here. Tickets for these trains do always come including a reservation. Screens all over the train do host route information, the carriage number, speed will also be displayed here, temperature, oh you name it. Also within the compartments there are some luggage areas, although it's not an awful lot I have to say. I mean these are still long distance trains. The overhead luggage racks, and especially at the upper decks in these trains, are not that spacious. They're just good enough for a raincoat and an umbrella, but we didn't need that during this ride at all. The second class, these seats do have a different color, and the second class comes in a 2x2 configuration, and it's still a good product. Where I really prefer the first class on board of the Al Atlas trains, in these trains the second class, well, is in my opinion just absolutely good. For the second class you find a sturdy fold-out table in the seat in front of you if you have the airline style seats. Magazine rack, just like second class basically, everything is the same, although you have one power socket instead of two, and there's slightly less legroom. Also the seats are a little bit less wide, and if you recline these seats you have to do this manual with the button at the side. Well, also you have the reading light, you find the seat numbers right above the reading light. Oh, it's basically the same, but just a little bit less comfortable than in the first class. There is a dining car, or cafeteria I should say, on board of this train, so you might walk through the train as well. Therefore, if you go back to your seat, or maybe you just board the train really last minute and walk through the train to your seat, within the train it also has been assigned what seats can be found where in what carriage and in what carriage you are. The dining car or cafeteria itself is not that special in terms of there are not a lot of great spots where you can just have a nice seat, but there are some spots where you can just take a seat and enjoy your drinks or meals. It's basically like quite a lot of TCV trains in France as well. I haven't bought anything over here, but as far as I know Morocco, it's not possible to pay by card, but if I'm wrong on this, let me know in the comments. The menu selection is actually pretty nice, and it's even better than you would find on the Al Atlas trains, where you will only find a trolley service. The longest possible journey time on board of the Al Boraq train is 2 hours and 10 minutes, if you go from the starting point to the final destination. However, on the Al Atlas trains, you might even have journey times of over 10 hours in a single train. Obviously, this also depends on the route you take. I mean, I'm not saying the Al Atlas trains are bad, but if there would be something more like a dining car like what you can find on the Al Boraq trains, it is really nice. The toilets at the upper deck and in general in the second class are a bit smaller. Therefore, in the second class at the other end of the train, you find a special nursery space for if you're traveling with a kid, so you can change the diaper over here. The toilets on the upper deck, well, as I show you right now, they are really, someone is there. Sorry, I will block this out. Well, if you're using the toilet, don't forget to lock it. It's definitely not my first time that I'm trying to film and someone forgot to lock the toilet door. Well, it's for everybody's comfort better to lock it. So, let me find another of these kind of toilets. And here we are. And as you can see, the toilets at the upper deck on board of these trains, they're pretty tight. Well, I'm also quite a big boy, so for me it's easy to have a tight toilet. But the average Moroccan person is smaller than I am, so I think for most people it should be fine. Most seats do come in an airline style or long distance bus seat composition, like I already showed you before. But there are also some seats facing each other, and in that situation there's a bigger table in between, and you can fold this out to make it even bigger. About tickets for these trains. Tickets do always come including a seat reservation, so if the trains are full, they are just full. There are some spare seats like you can see here between the carriages of the vestibules. But take this in account if you buy train tickets in Morocco for long distance trains, so both for the Al Boraq but also for the Al Atlas trains, that if there are just no seats available anymore, you basically can't buy a ticket anymore. This might be something you really need to take in consideration for your planning. If you don't know exactly on what time you will travel, just buy a ticket for a specific train that you will make for sure, and then you can change it afterwards. What I heard from several people is that trains in Morocco are in general never extremely full, but they are pretty well occupied and some trains are full. So you can also just take the risk and buy the train tickets on the day of departure. But you might need to take the train of 1 or 2 hours later than you originally planned. So if you do this, just make sure you don't want to have the last train. And on some routes you won't find that many trains. Well, once again, my general advice is on this, just play safe. Ticket prices for the Al Boraq trains. You basically find 3 different ticket types. You have the promotional fare, and these are basically the non-flexible tickets. There's a limited number of these tickets available, and they're not on all trains available. These are the cheapest tickets, and these tickets cannot be changed and can also not be cancelled. Then you will find the semi-flexible tickets. These tickets can be changed one time for free, basically one time, and if you want to cancel those tickets, you get a 50% money back. Then you also have the flexible tickets. Those tickets are always available as long as there are seats available, and you can change them for an unlimited amount of times. And if you cancel those tickets, you get 80% of the total ticket price back. For the Al Boraq trains, and maybe also for other trains in Morocco, there's also a little difference in time of the day. For example, the standard fares, the off-peak fares and the peak fares. Ticket prices for these trains are designed to be accessible to the average Moroccan person as well. So for me as a Western European, the ticket prices are very reasonable when it comes to this. Lots of information in railway stations and also announcements, signage, etc. is all in French and in Arabic. However, the website to book your train tickets that pops up here on the screen once again is pretty good in English as well. Also, the staff and many other people in Morocco, I found their English level pretty good, and lots of people are happy to practice their English a little bit with you. The Al Boraq train has the high-speed track that's dedicated only for the Al Boraq trains, at this moment only between Tangier and Kenitra. From Kenitra to Casablanca, it will just run between the regular trains on upgraded tracks and where it will go maximum 160 km per hour. But on the high-speed track, this is 320 km per hour, cutting down the travel time between Tangier and Casablanca a lot. On the section from Casablanca to Kenitra, the Boraq trains are about 15 to 20 minutes faster than the regular trains. The views from the train and this section of Morocco are not the prettiest views. I mean, it is not ugly, but it's definitely not what I would consider as a pretty route. Just a lot of flat land, but there are really some scenic parts if you're traveling by train in Morocco. If you're interested in see the views from the train between Kenitra and Casablanca, I do have a trip report on an All-Atlas train from Fez to Marrakech, and that is also covering that section of the route. We got out here at the railway station of Kenitra right after the high-speed line, and we took an All-Atlas train to Fez from here. Morocco really wants to invest a lot in their high-speed railways, and they want to extend the high-speed line all the way to Marrakech. Also on the section Kenitra-Casablanca, where the high-speed trains will share the tracks with the regular trains at this moment, they want to make dedicated high-speed railroad lines. So the travel time might even be way shorter in the future. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it, or this has been helpful to you. Once again, if you did so, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it, and this helps to grow the channel and to convince more people about a more sustainable way of transportation. Also, if you have some comments or feedback, let me know in the comment section. And if you'd like to see more trip reports about more sustainable ways of transportation and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe to the channel. The main focus for this channel is cross-bordering and long-distance travel. Before we really end up this video, one last thing. Once again, thank you for watching. I hope you liked this, or this has been helpful to you. Related videos can be found in the description of this video, and other trip reports can be found on this channel. Apart from that, in the description of this video you find a link to a map, and on this map you can also find all trip reports. But then, on a map,